Helen and Todd will describe the successful Kiwi recovery program as that's been carried out in the Whangarei Heads Landcare Forum. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for two people that do care, and they care emotionally and positively, Helen Moodie and Todd Hamilton.
Kia ora everybody. Thank you George, and thanks to Nick, wherever you are in your tie, and the Landcare Trust for the opportunity to come back and talk to you today. After 14 years with Landcare groups, I found the wrench of moving on to new challenges with Dairy NZ alleviated somewhat by my ongoing voluntary role with the Whangarei Heads Landcare Forum. I've been involved with this amazing project since its inception 10 years ago, not the least because it's practically in my own backyard, also the added incentive of being married to the trapper and Kiwi ranger. Whangarei Heads Landcare Forum is a consortium of landcare groups based around the 6,000 hectare peninsula, just out of Whangarei. The area is a mix of sheep, beef, dairy farms, lifestyle blocks, dock reserves and seaside villages, all surrounded by the incredible beauty of the volcanic peaks of the Heads. In addition to the Kiwi recovery project you'll hear about today, other groups are doing weed control, possum control, rat eradication, native corridor restoration. One group is working to protect the Taihururu estuary. But it's these amazing animals that are literally in the backyards of people out at the Heads that we'll talk about today. First up, Todd has 6 minutes to cover off the interesting stuff, the action on the ground.
Yeah, good morning folks. Most of you would have heard that stoats were the predator that were worrying Kiwi. Well, it's only the Kiwi chicks they worry. This fella here, Dallas, he's half grown, he can fight off a stoat. But Kiwi chicks, you can hold them in your hand. In unmanaged areas, 90 to 95% of them end up as stoat tucker. Okay? So if you want Kiwi recovery, you've got to deal with stoats first. And that's what we've done at the Whangarei Heads Landcare Forum. Groups have been doing some trapping there. We put a network in complementing the dock, had some trapping down Bream Head in the reserve, but the majority of the Kiwi are on private land, so all the Landcare groups got together and we put a network of traps in. And there's a stoat, the sort of stoat we like, a dead one. This is what we use, double fens, under a tunnel, salted rabbit is our lure. There's been quite a few other traps we've incorporated in the system in the last 10 years, but this guy's still the workhorse. And it has worked. We have had pretty good success with our trapping. Very lucky to be a peninsula, that helps us a lot. We've got good access through all the farms. We are getting more chicks on the ground now. Instead of only 5 or 10% surviving, we're getting up to 60% surviving through trapping. So that's great. So about 8 years ago, to get more bang for our buck out of our trapping, we looked at bringing more Kiwi into the area. So what we do is follow some dads outside the area, west of Whangarei, because the dads are the ones that sit on the eggs, and what I do is scoop the chicks, and for some added insurance, we put them on a creche and grow them up before we move them out to the Whangarei Heads. So it's a great opportunity when we do a Kiwi release at the Heads to show people their Kiwi, because seeing is believing, and people get to smell the Kiwi, get to interact with it in a controlled way that's calm for the Kiwi, but they get to see their Kiwi, a live wild Kiwi with his whiskers, its poo, everything else, and we even get the odd special guest up there to have a look. Now, part of our permit from dock to transfer these Kiwi was that we'd monitor some of them to see what happened. And you see the radio transmitter on the leg there? There's a close-up, just like wearing a watch, not too much of a big deal for the Kiwi. And when I'm out trapping, one of the things I do is follow around with the radio receiver to follow the Kiwi. Now, this showed us 3 things. The first was that the Kiwi moved a hell of a lot, particularly when they first went in until they settled down to their territory. Some of the Kiwi moved tens of kilometres right across the peninsula. So that had implications. Secondly, you'd think they'd be up here in the big, beautiful native bush, but here they are, but they prefer to be down here in the exotic, or even in the farmland, or if you can't see over here because it's not a very good photo, all the gorse and pampas and rank kaikuri would be their primo habitat. So we found they're travelling everywhere and all the different habitats at the peninsula. So that was a bit of an eye-opener. And the third thing we found out, we knew dogs were a problem, as George has said, but we didn't realise how big a problem. So the third thing we found out was even more of an eye-opener. Now, when you're tracking a kiwi, you see the kiwi print up here on the right. Tracking this kiwi, or somebody else or something else has been tracking that kiwi before me. Dogs are very good at tracking kiwi. They find them irresistible. It's a smell thing. It's where they are. They get exposed to them, and they can't cope with them. You see that, you follow dog prints, that's what you find, a dead kiwi. Tough as old boots down the bottom, but very weak chests. So this was an eye-opener to us. This was 8 years ago. What's the point in trapping if all your adult kiwi have been killed? So we thought we'd better do something about this, and the first thing we did was keeping on with the trapping and the kiwi monitoring, because you've got to have the kiwi chicks coming through, but also it gives you one-on-one with the people of the land, the people who open and close the gates, about dog control in a positive way, and that worked really well. But the other thing we did was we went global. We went global in a local sense. And this character here, backyard kiwi, because kiwi, you can't see them, don't hear them that often, you've got to make people aware that they've got kiwi in their backyard. And we did this with road signs, a website that lets them update to where they are. This is an interpretation sign that's at our local garage. And so that not just the farmers and the people with the traps on their land, but the whole district. And as George said, we've got quite high residential areas. Know there's kiwi there, get engaged, know what's happening. And they certainly have. They've come in their droves. People now, we have a kiwi release, and they are just as important. We don't need them for the genetics and numbers now, but we need them more just to engage people. And people are engaged. Seeing is believing. This is a release we had the other day, just with a sign on the side of the road. We had 250 people turn up. Like 70% of them said they were locals. Okay. The last piece of the puzzle for nuts and bolts on the ground is it's not as much fun as pulling dead hedgehogs out of traps, or as much fun as crawling through pampas and gorse trying to catch a kiwi. It's talking to the district council. Our regional council's been very good, very supportive, but the district council we've had to work on, and we're just trying to future-proof things a bit. Our kiwi population can sustain dogs, well-controlled dogs in the residential areas. What it can't sustain is that all the farmland being chopped up into lifestyle blocks and pet dogs there. It's not sustainable for kiwi. So future subdivisions, dog-free is the way to go. So that took a bit, but it future-proofs things. So we are winning. Without Landcare and other groups working out at the Whangarei Heads, we would have no or very, very few kiwi at the Whangarei Heads by now. Instead, we've gone from that 80 to over 400, and we intend to keep going further. So that's the nuts and bolts of the action of the ground. I'll pass you over to Helen for the real big picture and the highbrow stuff.
Gee, thanks, Todd. That was on time. And I'm sure there's an awful lot more that we could say and that you'd probably rather hear about the action on the ground. But if I've learnt anything from my time with the Landcare Trust, it was that some projects take off and others don't. So now I just want to share the results of some of the belly gazing that we, the Landcare Forum, have done recently to distill some of the reasons that we're still going strong 10 years down the track. Because we're very much aware of the fact that we have to ensure the ongoing work is maintained for many more decades to come. Whoops, that was that one. As the saying goes, if it's worth doing properly. At the start of this project, we were really lucky to have Dr. Ray Pearce, world recognised expert in Kiwi recovery, living in Whangarei. Even more fortuitous was securing some funding through the Landcare Trust and Transpower to contract Ray to write a resource document for the Whangarei Heads. This identified the threats and opportunities for biodiversity values in the area. This approach of writing the report first before we got the trapping started wasn't common then, and funding was even harder to get. It's great to see the Biodiversity Advice Fund now investing in this preparatory work. Our report set a strong platform for the work to come, both in terms of ensuring that our efforts were focused in the right direction and in giving others the confidence to support our then fledgling initiatives. We've continued to ensure that this work is science-based. We take every opportunity to keep up with changes and new techniques. This has helped us avoid some of the lemons that have been inflicted on other groups. Ray also set us up well to appreciate the importance of monitoring and report writing, the really exciting things. We now have a team of 25 people who brave the chilly autumn nights to record Kiwi call counts annually. And once a year, I nail Todd's feet to the floor of the study to be sure that the annual trapping report is completed and analysed for trends. A key to our process is the platform provided by the Whangarei Heads Landcare Forum framework. There's currently 9 Landcare group projects underway at Whangarei Heads, and by coming together within the Landcare Forum collective, we have a single legal entity. As well as avoiding duplication of administrative functions, this is a really important part of the social cohesion that underpins the jigsaw that is biodiversity enhancement of Whangarei Heads. Lots of jigsaw pieces are needed to look after our special place, and they all need to fit together. People care about different things. Some, like Todd, are natural-born killers. Others have green thumbs. Some have silver pens. So the Landcare Forum provides a vehicle for people to do what they care about in the confidence that others are doing their bit as well for the whole jigsaw. Of course, there's funding, and there's a long list of funders that have contributed to our project. These are those that are currently supporting us, mainly because I haven't done the final report yet, Mark. It's sad to see that many of the past funders are no longer able to support biodiversity projects. Sad also that many funders see themselves as seed funders, not willing to support projects in the long term. This despite acknowledgement that effective and active management of predators will be required for the long term if we are really to turn the tide for biodiversity. My personal hobby horse aside, we're very fortunate that the Northland Regional Council have committed to 5 years of support of the predators part of the program through their community pest control area. Recognising that the investment of some of their biosecurity allocation in us gives great returns to the ratepayers of Northland. I'd love to see an economic analysis of the money invested in our project. The multiplier effect would be fairly significant. We've also taken baby steps along the road of sponsorship and income generation. Sponsorship is a big challenge, particularly in the economic climate at present, made all the more difficult because we're working on private land. We've done well with our sales of stunning prints of the Kiwi. For $175, you too can have a Kiwi in your living room. See me afterwards. You can see why we're only taking baby steps there. Seriously, print sales and small sponsorships help, but we're not likely to be free from the joys of funding applications and reports for the foreseeable future. The list of relationships we maintain is also a long one. Some are easier to maintain than others. Some are more formal partnerships. Some even stray into the category of intergroup friendships. One concept we've taken on board is that of friend raising, recognising that financial support isn't the only form of assistance that is useful. Influence, encouragement, practical support, these are all equally important. The Landcare Trust and other regional and national collectives play a really crucial role in brokering these relationships. Whoops. Gold? Okay. Sorry. Obviously, working alongside agencies such as DOC and councils is important, but so is maintaining the independence of a community-driven and delivered project. We're working to keep Kiwi on private land, so it's the landowners with which we must have our strongest relationships. These are the ones that must care about their Kiwi. As Don, previous CEO of the Landcare Trust, used to say, it is only the people that open and shut the gates every day that can really make a difference. We can all do predator control at Whangarei Heads, kill all the stoats, but if the people there don't know that they have kiwi in their backyards, if they don't care that they have kiwi in their backyards, then we'll lose those kiwi to uncontrolled dogs and cars on the road at night. So having the right people involved is absolutely vital. And personal contact with farmers and other landowners in the area is priceless. In the 10 years of the project, Todd's had hundreds of cups of tea in kitchens, spent many hours yarning in the paddock about the falling beef schedule or why milk production's taken a dive. And slowly, farmers who in the past have kicked a dock off their land find themselves asking after their kiwi, how's old JR getting on? Welcoming the predator control on their farm, tying up the dogs during milking, even hosting kiwi release days and explaining to the people present that they're not greenies, but it is really special to have a kiwi in their backyard. A key to this attitude and the subsequent behaviour change, because that's what we're after, is that we don't tell people what to do. We make sure they know about the special things they've got there, we make sure they know what they can do to help, and then we wait for community peer pressure to work. It's becoming socially unacceptable to have uncontrolled dogs at Whangarei Heads. But because, sorry, one slide was out of order there, but because there's only so many cups of tea we can cope with, 2 years ago we embarked on what seemed at the time to be a simple journey, to set up a website. The things we've learned have added a further strand to our community engagement behaviour change initiative, a way to encourage even more people to care about their kiwi. We've developed our own Kiwi brand and the backyard kiwi concept. We've got road signs, as Todd said, and bumper stickers around the whole world. These signs don't tell people what to do, they tell them about what we're doing and invite them to help. Of course, it's not all rose-coloured or simple. The success we've had so far could yet be undone, albeit over Todd's dead body. We could become victims of our success. A key threat is complacency. Complacency of funders. They're doing fine, that's right, they don't need our support. Complacency of trappers, because near enough just isn't good enough if you're taking out stoats. Complacency of dog owners. My dog wouldn't do that. In a somewhat perverse way, the occasional dead kiwi that we still do get handed in serve as stark reminders of the threats they still face while the population is still rising. Because we have to accept that not everyone shares our concern for kiwi, as George said, there's a risk of alienating a portion of the community, overly passionate people becoming green police and turning landowners against the cause. This is where the range of people and approaches in the core Landcare forum helps. There's always someone to bring us back to reality when necessary. And I think every volunteer project is at risk of burnout for the key people involved. That's just society. Again, this is where the breadth and depth of the Landcare forum helps. When I get overdone and can't face another meeting or funding report, somebody else steps in and helps out. There's no magic solution for this, but again, the support of people like the Landcare Trust coordinators is really important in seeing groups through those tough times. Finally, we're winning. We can do it. This photo, while not the cutest in our presentation, links us to this afternoon's sessions and what we've talked about this morning. This kiwi is JR, making the most of a huge slip left last year by Cyclone Wilma. Many of the principles that I believe have helped to sustain kiwi recovery at Whangarei Heads apply equally to catchment management and sustainable farming. Recognising the value of social sustainability to the rural community, getting people to act because they care, not because they're told to, and recognising that while technical information is crucial, it's no use without the right relationships with the people involved. This is just as true if we want to address water quality issues as it is to kiwi recovery at Whangarei Heads. Kiwi are amazing creatures. They can adapt and we can win. Our grandchildren will hear kiwi from their beds at night. Thank you.